Well, hello there. I am Dr. Jen, and this is my life as a landlord. I am so excited because after doing all the nerdy stuff, the analytics, and everything that all of you are asking me to do, the number one topic that comes up again and again and again is tenant screening. Tenant screening. So, this is the first of 6 episodes all about different aspects of tenant screening, how to do it right, what to not do, right? Trying to get it all figured out. But whether you are a total newbie, if you're renting out your first basement suite, or maybe you bought a duplex and you're renting the other half and you're living in one half, okay, that's one aspect. But maybe you're a seasoned pro, you're a nugget landlord like me, managing 20, 50, 100 doors, whatever it is. But finding the right tenant for the unit and not pissing off all the other tenants is sort of the mix. It's the tenant mix that is the right magic. It's the single most important thing that you're going to do to protect your sanity, your property, and, well, your bank account too, but mainly to make sure you are being a good human to another human as a tenant. And today is all about marketing magic. Now, I did have an episode 94, where I did a little bit deeper dive about photos and the marketing script for your marketing ads. So if you want way deep dive on specifically how to do the content of your marketing ads, go back in the library, episode 94. But today, what we're going to talk about a bit is the tenant screening doesn't actually start when you hand someone an application. It doesn't start when you pull their credit, and it actually starts the moment that you hit publish on your rental ad, right? That's the whole point. Our goal today is to shift your mindset to I need as many people possible looking at my unit to I need a flood of inquiries that are the right people that might actually work, right? You want the right tenant in the right unit. That's the trick. So, but if you do this right, if you do tenant screening right, you'll spend significantly less time vetting, less time doing pointless showings to people who absolutely just don't even meet the minimum criteria, and more time selecting the perfect tenant, making sure that the perfect tenant is indeed perfect for the unit. So let's talk about your listing, starting with the photos. Now, I'm going to do some overlap here with episode 94, but that's okay. But high quality, honest photos are your absolute first filter. Now, I know the temptation is to hire a professional photographer with a wide angle lens and, maybe do a drone fly through or make your 500 square foot apartment look like a palatial estate. Don't do that. Be very realistic on the experience in that unit. Just show the pretty stuff. Don't just show the pretty stuff. Show the reality. If the kitchen is small, show it. If the living room is non-existent, but it's got natural light, show it. That's one of my units, in fact. If the stairs are steep, narrow, and there is no way that a king size bed is going to get up those stairs, guess what? You need to showcase that. You need to let them know that there are steep, narrow stairs leading up to the unit because, and even if it's not up to the unit, maybe it's to the common area like the mail or the trash or the laundry. In many cases, in some of our units, I have to tell people, yeah, you're on a ground floor, but the laundry is upstairs. Are you okay with stairs? And if the answer is no, this is likely not the right unit for them. So why do you want to make sure you're showing everything realistically in this unit? Well, because you want people to self-select. You want them to realize that the unit isn't actually going to be a fit for them without even involving you. Has nothing to do with you. Let's get them comfortable with what you can do. And I'm just going to do a quick reminder about your pictures. If you want to take your own pictures of your marketing units or of your marketing ads for your units, I think I said all that right. You want to make sure that number one, all the lights are on, right? All the lights are on. And ideally, if you can have a nice sunny day, that's ideal too. Limit the clutter in the photo. So if you're still working on it, if the unit is still under construction, try to get anything that is construction related out of the photo. I've done that before and that just looks weird. Remember, you're probably going to use these photos for a long time. So you want to limit the clutter in the photo. And ideally, you want to take these new photos when you turn the unit, like 5 minutes before the new tenant moves in. Take new marketing photos for the unit because that's usually when it looks the best, is right before somebody moves in. Okay, One of my pet peeves, which may not be yours, but it is mine, close the toilet lid in the photos. Goodness sakes. Also, if you're going to do exterior shots, do a view from the street, base a nice curb shot. That's always a good looker. But also, if you want to, do all four sides of the house, and it's not a bad thing to have for insurance. Every once in a while, you get a random question like that. And then in your unit, you want to take photos of each room. Now, what does that mean? What I do is I will literally go to every corner in the room, put my back in the corner, like I'm going to wedge myself in the corner, and I take the photo again, light on, blinds open, curtains open, whatever you got, open everything up, show the nice, beautiful day, and just show it. But I do that for all of the rooms, even the bathrooms. If I can get in the corners of the bathrooms, yes, I climb into the showers and things like that. But just do your absolute best. If you can show different rooms from other places, cross shots down the hallway, back the hallway. Again, make sure the lights are on, make sure the toilet lids are closed. You cannot have enough marketing photos because not all of them are going to be good, right? You're going to have a weird photo of like a closet door. Okay, well, that's not helpful, but there's going to be some good ones in there. And the more photos you take while the unit is empty and clean and lights on, the better you will have a whole bunch of photos to choose from when it comes time to market your unit the next time, right? So you can't have too many photos. Just make sure you're doing them right. Yeah. But let's flip the script here in a second. Instead of you trying to market the photos, you trying to market the unit, think about how an applicant comes to the rental unit and the ad that you've placed somewhere, whether it's Craigslist or Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace or whatever. Maybe you have a local place like next door or whatever it might be. There's all kinds of places that you can put your ads up. But from the applicant's perspective, if they show up to a showing and realize the bedroom, again, won't fit their king-sized bed, they're just going to walk away and it was a wasted showing for you. So you just wasted your evening and you wasted theirs. Try not to just do over-flattering photos, just leading to disappointed prospects and wasted showings. Make sure that you explain in your ad that king-size mattresses won't fit up the stairs. In fact, in one of our units, we actually had a queen size bed deliberately because the ceiling height of the stairs was so low, it wouldn't fit a king size mattress. Like twin box springs were fine, but we put a queen up there. But what we did was we did it while we were renovating the house and we didn't realize that we actually framed in the top of the stairs too low. So when we moved out, we actually had to cut the box spring, the queen box spring, to actually shift it to get it down the stairs. So this is the kind of stuff where it's like, we even offered for the gal that bought the house from us, we said, look, we'll leave this up here. We'll leave this queen size box spring up here because nobody's going to bring a king up here. Well, who knew? But anyway, we ended up taking it out, but we had to cut it out. So just be aware and just know these little lessons learned. You're going to learn the nuances of your units as you go. You may not have to explain all that in a marketing ad maybe, but you want to make sure you are clear with your very realistic, transparent marketing ad. So you also want to be incredibly intentional with your ad copy, the content of your marketing ad. You want to include the absolute essentials right up front, the exact rent amount, required deposits, the pet policy. All of this should be published somewhere, either in the ad itself, or what I do is I have a website for all of my rentals, US and Canada. I have a website where it's like, here's our pet policy. Here's how we do this. Here's how we do the security deposits. Here's the whole thing. Also, if you're going to split utilities from a shared meter, like a water meter or a hydro meter, or you guys are going to split Wi-Fi or whatever you're going to split, you've got to show them up front what you're basing that split on. Is it bedrooms? I typically do it by bedrooms, but maybe bedrooms doesn't work. Like there's some reasonable split, but you've got to show it. And then when you bill them, you're basically back billing them and they're going to pay you for that utility. When you're back billing them, you've got to show them a utility bill and say, oh, by the way, yours is 50%. Here's your bill for 50%, remit your 50%, something like that. So shared bills, make sure you have it. Be specific on what is included and what is expected. Here's an interesting twist is that if you live near a school or a place that's got very pointed times of big traffic, like at a school, in the morning there's going to be a bunch of traffic, there's going to be a lot of people going, and in the afternoon, same thing, but not all the time, right? Because schools are typically off for summer. Also, if your tenant has children, who may go to said school. Maybe that's not a bad thing. And being in proximity of a playground, maybe that's not a bad thing. And so you want to be very reasonable and hopefully encourage people to drive around and say, look, this is a school neighborhood, right? So again, I did a deep dive on how to market your unit in episode 94. So take a look at that. I actually have a whole laundry list of exactly how to write your marketing ad. I'm not going to bore you with that here, but go to episode 94 in the library if you want a help on crafting your marketing unit. And oh, by the way, don't just write it once or write it just one time for this showing. I actually have a running ad where for all my units where I just go, oh, it's this unit, cut, paste into Craigslist, done. And then my latest photos. So make sure that you really only need to write your ads once, like one time, and then cut and paste from here on out, something like that. Okay. So you also want to make sure that in your marketing ads that you are not setting yourself up for an awkward conversation later. For example, if parking is tight or it's only street parking, you need to mention it plainly. You don't want an applicant who owns 3 lifted trucks to show up to a property that has only 1 compact tandem space or a parking garage that only has, 6-foot spaces and they're in a lifted truck, like something like that. You want to be really, really specific that you're only permitted, 1 vehicle and then the other one, good luck on street parking, something like that. So here's a real world example. Again, this is all about parking. In a dense urban market like Toronto, for example, parking is a premium. And then there was a landlord who used to write parking is available on the ads. Now that can be a little bit misleading. So here's what happened. He get flooded with applicants who had 2 cars. But then they realized that that wasn't going to work. And why? He finally changed the ad to 1 compact underground parking space included and absolutely no street parking available. That's it. Be specific. This is the goods and the bad. So if you have a lifted truck, if you have 2 or 3 lifted trucks, 1 compact underground parking space included. That's it. And there's no street parking. So overnight, his inquiries dropped by 40%. People were self-selecting. That's the whole idea. And he stopped wasting time on people who couldn't live there, right? So in your ad, you also need to plant specific signals that show you're a professional who values reliability and follows a process that's just sort of in the gears. Here's the next step. Here's the next step. You want to include a clear applicant qualification overview section in your website or in your process that you do. Phrase it neutrally and professionally. You can use AI to do this now, of course. We didn't have that before. We didn't have that when I started this podcast, but now you do. You can write something like, we review full credit history, require verifiable gross household income of 3 times the monthly rent, and we verify past rental history. Yep, that's pretty good. Now let's face it, we have a cash society in some realms, in some industries, and folks sometimes do live on cash. So if you're going to verify income, you can do so with pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns. You also have lots and lots of retirees who don't have necessarily an income other than their pension or their government subsidy, whatever you want to call it, either your old age pension or your Social Security if you're in the US. So it just depends on how you want to do income. Typically, we can look at bank statements. That's usually how I look at, or tax returns, however you want to do it. But the key here is that you put your written criteria right either in the ad or on the website. You save a tremendous amount of time. Now, I will tell you, in lots of my ads, I put specific things like, if you are a smoker or a vapor, do not apply. We're not putting smokers in this unit, or this is a no pet unit. Do not, if you have a pet, you cannot rent this unit, something like that. Now, I know in the States, there's the emotional support animals, service animals are not a pet, so that's different. But you need to make sure that you are stating up front what your criteria is. And especially if you're going to be reviewing credit score, credit history, they will read that you check credit, and if their score is 450 and it's been that way for a long time, or they have a problem with their money, then they'll probably move on to the next ad to somebody who's not going to check credit. So this is the ultimate time saver. Now, I will tell you, if you have somebody who has 450 credit score, you might consider them in under other circumstances, and that's your whim of running your business. I have rented to someone that is very low credit score, but it was different circumstances. They had a great job. They were going through a divorce. There was all kinds of things going on. There was a cell phone that got lost and not paid for, and they ended up with a ding on their credit one time, right? Now they maybe it wasn't 450, but at that moment it was. But again, you're looking at history here. Okay, but here's the kicker. When you're talking about screening tenants, this protects you not only with saving time, it protects you legally. It shows that you are consistent. Every single tenant application is handled in the exact same way. This is really important because you have all kinds of fair housing laws on both sides of the border that you want to make sure that you're not discriminating and everybody goes in on the same criteria, right? So it's crucial for fair housing compliance to show that you are being consistent for everyone. So let's talk about a real world example. The first in time rule in Seattle, Washington means that landlords must offer the unit to the first qualified applicant who provides a complete application. So if your ad doesn't explicitly state what a qualified applicant is, you're opening yourself up to a big problem potentially. By publishing your criteria in the ad, you are setting the legal baseline from day one, and then you have your process to go through the whole thing. Okay, so we're past the content, we're past the photos. You've got your criteria up, all of that of what a qualified applicant looks like, what your pet policy is, and your ad is perfect. And a prospective tenant reads it, they love it, they reach out. Now what? So please, I am begging you, do not just hand them a 10-page application and ask for their social security number, the social insurance number if they're in Canada, right off the bat. Please use a pre-application, some kind of a pre-qual, something. This is basically figuring out where the deal breakers are. Do they have 5 cars? Do they have, 8 kids and they're trying to get into a 2-bedroom unit? Do they have 5 pets? Like, figure out the deal breakers as much as possible, even when they are approaching you in your marketing ad. This is the first look at them, okay? So the pre-application is a short, friendly gatekeeper. It's a simple online form that if you are savvy, you'll have it on your website, for example, and just you can even do a quick 5-minute phone call. Now, I don't do that. I don't have time for that. But if you want to, you can. Core criteria only: name, desired move-in date. That's another deal breaker. If your unit is available now, and they're not needing to move for 3 or 4 months, that's a problem, right? Household size, we talked about. Pets, smoking status, general income range, verifiable income, all that. You could even say something like this: thanks so much for your interest in the property. Want to make sure that we're a great match. To save you the application fee, because especially in the States, there's an application fee. Please fill out this quick pre-application form. If it looks like it's a good fit based on our criteria, we'll send over the formal application and schedule a showing, right? Something like this. So having a pre-application form simply filters out the tire kickers. It actually just does that. People can self-select. You can put it in here. So if your ad says no pets and they put on the pre-application that they have 3 golden retrievers, even though I love golden retrievers, if it's no pet, you just saved yourself a showing. And if your ad says the unit is available September 1st and they say they don't want to move in until January 1st, you can politely decline before you ever meet them. And you can actually confirm with them if they look great except for the move-in date. You can let them know, look, the unit is available much earlier than when you need. Are you sure you can't take it earlier? Something like that. Just be mindful. You want to confirm that. Maybe they put it in by mistake, but maybe they didn't. Okay. So as we wrap up today's episode, as we're starting our six episode series on tenant screening, I want you to remember that marketing or screening are not 2 different tasks. Marketing and screening are not 2 different tasks. They're one integrated system. A clear, honest ad leads to a clear, efficient pre-application, which ultimately leads to a highly qualified tenant, which hopefully leads to a long, calm, and very good housing journey for both of you. So we're not going to just talk in this series about the whole file philosophy. We're not looking for a perfect credit score, and we're not just looking for a high income. We're looking for a reliable human being whose lifestyle fits the reality of what you're offering in your rental unit. Your marketing is your very first step in finding that ideal human being or group of human beings. Your action item for this week, if you want an action item, I want you to look at your current rental listing or a draft one of one that you're proposing. Does it explicitly include your core screening criteria? What does a qualified applicant look like? Does it have a overview of what you're looking for? Are the photos honest? Are they taken in the dark, right? Even if the toilet seat's open, we can get past that. But if not, take the time and rewrite your ads. If your unit isn't renting, this may be one of the reasons why. It will save you headaches from tomorrow. Anyway, that wraps up our first episode in a series of 6. Here's a question for you. What happens when a perfect on-paper applicant has absolutely zero credit? None. Or what if they have plenty of savings in the bank but no traditional 9-to-5 job? Next week on My Life as a Landlord is episode 228, where we're tackling the tricky, confusing world of credit and income. And specifically, we'll cover exactly how to handle those edge cases like first-time renters, gig workers, retirees, all while staying legally compliant. You definitely don't want to miss it. Keep your standards high, and I'll see you next week.